So far, there are more questions than answers. Let's see if we can broaden our analysis and bring in Igor Mladenovic, who's a sports commentator at The Guardian newspaper. Igor, thank you so much for being with us. My producer is asking a very good question. This is not one we've rehearsed, so I'm just going to throw this at you. Would the 1966 England team, if it played today's England team, win or lose? What do you think?
Well, that's a very original question. I didn't watch the 1966 World Cup. I'm sorry, I wasn't born yet. But
I was only 3.
I do think that they. Okay, so I'm forgiven. I think they would win. I think that the 1966 team would win. They had some leaders on the pitch, like Bobby Charlton. They had a great mentality, which successive English teams in the past few years have not had, basically. Several coaches came and went, Thomas Tuchel, Gareth Southgate, and it never changed. It was always a mental hurdle. So, yes, for me, the big difference is that the 1966 team had some leaders on the pitch, a bit like Lionel Messi currently for Argentina. And the players like Harry Kane or Jude Bellingham, who were meant to take on that role for England this year, basically failed to turn up when it mattered the most. They were efficient against Congo earlier in the tournament, but when push came to shove against Argentina, they were not the leaders which we hoped to see. That's the unfortunate situation. I think they are not as resilient as the 1966 team.
Can we talk about coaches? Because obviously in 66, Alf Ramsey was the coach. He was famous for doing what he thought was right and playing the way he wanted to play. And of course, he created the whole sort of team without wingers, 4-3-3 formation, that kind of thing. After that, English coaches kind of fell into this, we better pick the players who are popular with the sports journalists and what the back pages are saying, and try to sort of throw all these talented players together and see what happens, rather than having an actual program and an actual way of playing. Has that been the big issue, and is Tuchel falling into that problem?
I wouldn't say so, because they lost to Argentina, who do not really have a clear playing pattern, who play a very emotional brand of football, which is not based on controlling possession, but which is based on reacting to challenges. So I'm just drawing inspiration from Argentina after their amazing comeback yesterday. At the end of the day, the Premier League is the most competitive league in the world. It has been for several years now. The problem is maybe that by inviting foreign talent in England, maybe English youth has been less encouraged to come up through English club systems. That might be a reason. However, at the end of the day, players like Jude Bellingham or Harry Kane, who play in the best clubs in Europe, should have the leadership skills to see off games like yesterday's, when England is leading 5 minutes from the end of the game and struggles to close it out. So for me, it's not really a technical issue with the English football system, not at all. It's really a mental issue, and the 50 years of hurt and now 60 years of hurt are basically a big weight on English players' shoulders. That's the reality of it. I wouldn't go as far as to say there's a problem with coaching or technical grooming of players.
Would you say that Thomas Tuchel made the right decision when he did? To bring on defenders, to take off Anthony Gordon, to try to close the game up, park the bus, as the expression goes, defend deep and sort of absorb all the pressure with 20 minutes to go, when perhaps, and I'm in this camp, England maybe should have pushed on and attacked and maybe defended higher up the pitch, like on the halfway line, that kind of thing. Pack the midfield.
Well, in hindsight, you can criticize Thomas Tuchel, and I think everyone is criticizing him. So I will refrain from doing so. Maybe it's a chicken and egg situation. Maybe he felt that his players were very nervous. as they were against Croatia earlier in the tournament, as they were maybe against Congo or Mexico. Against Mexico, despite the red card, he managed to get the team to attack. It produced one of the finest English World Cup performances in recent decades. I don't think that Tuchel is a negative coach at all. He has demonstrated at club level that he has a very attacking brand of football and very brave brand of football. But maybe he felt that something was missing and that Lionel Messi was taking up more and more space and influence on the right wing yesterday, which led him to decide to switch to a back five, as he did against Mexico.
But
Except
why
Lionel
not
Messi
man
is the
mark
greatest
Messi
player.
then? Why not put a man specifically on Messi to stop him doing that? That was an error, surely.
Well, by switching to a back five, he did expect Messi to get less space. Man marking him might not have been the right solution, although at the end, some of the players like Dan Burn did resort to man marking. But I don't think that it would have solved everything. I think it was a collective failure, and the entire team was afraid. That's unfortunately what happens when the stakes are very high, when you have gone 60 years without winning anything at World Cup level. And I think Tuchel is not the cause. I might be the only one to think that. But in my opinion, Tuchel is a master at identifying his team's psychology and their psychological state. And he felt that the team with the initial system was going back and was afraid. And so he just reflected that fear. Unfortunately, by switching to a back five, he signaled to his team that he did not trust them to keep control of the game. So he made matters worse. However, in my opinion, he is not the cause, and his substitutions, although they were reckless in hindsight, and in hindsight, you are always right, they were not the reason why England lost yesterday. The reason is that the 11 players who started the game were not brave enough to grab the game by the scruff of the neck, especially the more experienced players like Kane and Bellingham, who should have been able to motivate the entire team to keep the ball and to produce more football. So, in my opinion, Tuchel only saw this, tried to react, and he made matters worse. But he did not cause the problem.
As you say, then in '66 there was the likes of Bobby Charlton, Alan Ball, Nobby Stiles, Bobby Moore, players who could, like you say, take the game by the scruff of the neck and by the force of their personality, of their physique, and their hard work and their football skills, make things happen, and they did. Let's go back to this idea about why English football isn't producing these kind of players anymore. Is it because, and this is something that echoes back down the decades, is it because the key players and all the good teams aren't English? If you look at the teams that win things in the English Premiership, they're foreign players that are in the key positions. Now, back when I was developing through the football system as a hopeful young footballer as a kid, there would be criticism that, oh, well, England can't do well because all the good players are Scottish, all the good players are Irish, all the good players are Welsh. It just seems like it's looking for an excuse. There must be some other reason why top line English players with that kind of spirit aren't there anymore.
Yes, I think the English players who play for the national team today, we shouldn't criticize them too much. They all went through an extremely difficult process to get to where they are, to play in the Premier League and in the best European clubs. In my opinion, comparing today's team to the 1966 team is a little bit of a difficult exercise because football has changed a lot and it became more professional. In 1966, you did not have worldwide competition for trophies like the World Cup. You did not have professional football in different countries. England was the first to implement a professional football league, so they had some advance compared with other countries. But today, football is an international system with leagues all over the world, professional players who go through academies all over the world, and essentially, I think there's basically more competition. And looking at it from a purely objective standpoint, England actually had a good performance at this World Cup because they were not the favorites to win it. They were not as favored to win it as France or Spain. So if you look at it really without emotions, they didn't do that badly this year. It's just that the accumulated failures feel like a tragic sequence. But I wouldn't now call for an overhaul of everything, because the reality is that England has had a string of positive results internationally, much more positive than 20 years ago. And there isn't so much missing, except for players maybe who are a bit more brave in key moments. But I think players like Jude Bellingham, couple of years, maybe they'll be able to take on these.
Indeed. Maybe if they all had the attitude of Jordan Pickford, who had a great tournament as goalkeeper. And I have to admit, I am an Everton fan, so I do have a special regard towards Jordan Pickford. He had a great tournament. Igor, we need to leave it there, but I'm going to leave with a word from Liam Gallagher, the singer, formerly of Oasis, of course. He's tweeted today what his solution would be to maybe take England to the next level. England won't win a World Cup until we get Streetwise, and that goes for the managers. And it's all got too technical. Let the kids run wild, he says. Igor, a quick reaction to that, very quickly, please.
I think he's completely right. Liam is very good at music and very good at football. Argentina was Streetwise yesterday. They've been the whole tournament, and that's their only chance against Spain, who are a better team on paper. And Streetwise is exactly what wins these kinds of tournaments.
Igor, thank you for joining us. Great to get your analysis and your insight, and thank you for basically humouring me with the 1966 comparison. I know it's a different world, it's a different time, but I just couldn't resist the question. There we go. Igor Mladenovic, who's the sports commentator of The Guardian newspaper. Great to speak to you, sir. Thank you very much indeed for your time and your reflections.